Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Webb Show, episode 60-something. What is it? 68! What? Are we getting close to 100? Yes, we are. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Webby Pumpkin, if you don't know that already. If you do know that, hi, it's nice to see you again. If you didn't know and you're listening back later on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever you enjoy to listen to your podcasts, we also do this live every single Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/WebbyPumpkin. I stream an assortment of games all throughout the week. Would love to hang out with you guys there. I invite you to join us. If you are there, then I might and probably will read some of your comments about some of my opinions, like Wolf the Adventurer, or Neko Spy, who gave us a raid tonight, or Squirrels here, Ray Sunshine, Spietti, Liz Got here. So many great people are in the chat tonight, and I love interacting with you guys. So I would love to invite you to be a part of that. If not, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to go ahead and like this podcast, rate it 5 stars. I really appreciate it. Hey, guys, tonight there's 2 particular things that I want to talk about. The first one being the Nintendo Direct. We probably won't do it in that order, but obviously the Nintendo Direct that's coming up on Wednesday for the Nintendo Switch 2. It's finally Nintendo Switch 2 week. And I've got some thoughts, some predictions. It's really not all that crazy. I've got some ideas of what I think are going to happen, and we're going to see if I'm right. I was chatting with my buddy Topaz. You guys remember Topaz from last season. If you don't, go check out some older episodes. He's a cool dude. About some of what I expect to see. And I may be right, I may be wrong, but if I am right, then goodness knows I would like to document that in advance so that I can have bragging rights. The other thing is that GameStop, a company that is sometimes in the good graces of gamers, oftentimes not, has launched what they're calling GameStop Retro at select stores. It just so happens that there is one near me. It's only like 15 minutes away. It was just the regular, it was one of the smallest GameStops we have, and now all of a sudden it's the GameStop Retro. They closed 2 of the other ones. Long story short, I decided to go give it a shot yesterday just to see what was there, fully expecting that there wouldn't be too much to talk about, that there maybe would be like a little retro bin or something at the very least. And spoiler, I was actually quite impressed by it. Guys, if you watch on YouTube, you actually have the opportunity to get an additional episode, a bonus episode every single week, just by being a YouTube member. It's $5 or more USD, and you get a ton of extra content as well as early access to videos, polls, emotes, and then of course an entire bonus episode of the web show. The bonus episode for this live episode you guys are listening to right now is actually already uploaded. It is all the vlog footage. It's all the vlog footage from me going to this retro store. I think it's pretty interesting, to the point that I liked it enough that I'm probably going to make a full YouTube video about it, but it will be different from that vlog content, so there's still some value there. So let's get started. What do you guys think? To make things easier, I'm going to start off by thanking everyone here in the chat. We see Angie Jags. We see Neko Spy still. Neko Spy came in with that raid, kicking off the show with so much energy. I appreciate that. The other thing I want to do is jump right into this GameStop conversation. So I have some pictures to show you. I walked in, and I was thoroughly surprised to see an entire section. So I think that's actually the first picture I have. Let me find it. Yeah. Let me get this first picture. Where's my big picture? I've got one. There it is. An entire section was set up on, and this is not even the back wall. This is like the back wall and the back adjacent wall for each. This is actually a pet peeve of mine. You'll see that they have signs above the games from Xbox 360, PS2, PS3, Wii. That's all fine and dandy. One, they're not in any particular order, and that bothers me. It's fine for it to be random, I guess, but it bothers me that it's not in chronological order. So it's not like the PS2 came out before the PS3, because you have things like the Sega Genesis over here, you know? So it's not that. It's not in order by console brand, and it's not even corresponding to the game. So you have the Xbox 360 sign all the way over on the left, but all of the Xbox 360 games are in this big section on the right, underneath the box that says PlayStation Plus, which doesn't make any sense here. The PS3 is above the GameCube games and the Wii and Wii U games, which is kind of right because Wii and Wii U is there. But PS3 is also on the right wall when the signage is on the left. PS2 is in the middle underneath the Nintendo DS sign, but the Nintendo DS games are underneath the PS2 sign. Why? Anyway, that was one of the things. Setup and logistics aside, this is really cool. I have some pictures here I want to talk through. It was way more um, supply stock. Is that the word I'm looking for? It was way more stock than I was anticipating seeing whenever I walked in, and I was quite pleased with it. To the point that I did decide to pick something up. But there's also this. You see this sign here? Let me find a better image. This might be the one. See this sign here? 4 for 20 or 4 for 40. This is something that you see a lot in GameStops. If you have, well, you don't even have to have a pro membership for it, where you can get pre-owned games for like a lot price. So this is 4 games for $20 if the games are $10 or under. Okay, and then 4 for 40, $20 and under games. I found a copy. Where's it at? I found a copy. Where's this picture? I'm gonna find it. There it is. I found a copy of Mario Brothers Duck Hunt combo for the NES. It was $9.99. The moment I saw this, I knew in that moment that I was going to take advantage of that deal, because I am a GameStop Pro membership member. So I also have a $5 coupon every month. So I was like, this is a no-brainer. If this will work even for the retro games, I can walk out of here with 4 games, 5 if you count Mario and Duck Hunt as 2, with 5 games for $15. That's a steal, and that's exactly what I did. I actually walked out of there with an immaculate condition copy of Jak and Daxter for the PS2, Jak 2. It didn't have the original box art, which was sad, but the disc is in phenomenal shape. I got Mario Brothers Duck Hunt, which is super exciting. I got an original SNES copy of Mortal Kombat. It was just too good. But let's look at some of what they have here. So they had all kinds of accessories for pretty reasonable prices. For example, this NES controller was $10. And I bet that probably would have worked with the pre-owned game deal also. I probably could have brought that home. $10 for the motion controls for PS2, $20 for a DualShock controller for the PS2. They also had an original PlayStation controller behind that. It was $10, which is pretty impressive. You got Wiimotes for $30. I think does that one have the Motion Plus? It doesn't. But okay, so this is interesting. Looking at the Wiimotes now, I see that the one that has the grip is $29.99, but the one that doesn't is $39.99. Why? That doesn't make any sense to me, unless this one's missing like a battery pack or something. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Nunchucks for like $15, and then all these hard drives, which I didn't think I needed for my Xbox 360, but it turns out I have an Xbox 360 that I've started playing again, and it turns out I only have like 150 gigabyte or something hard drive. I'm working on a video for that, but we're gonna have to wait on that video because with all this Nintendo news from last week's Direct and Wednesday's Direct, I'm pretty sure the other 2 YouTube videos that I'm working on are just going to get completely and entirely buried. So there's no need to do that. But even like the fat hard drives that were for the original Xbox, like $10 will get you what is this, 100 something? I think. What is this one? 500 kilobytes. Is that what that is? 250 is. I'm not really sure. I can't quite read it. I don't have a good image of it. 250 gigabytes is about 30 or $25. It looks like. But anyway, there's hardware. That's the moral of this story. There's hardware, which is pretty cool. If you're into DS or trying to get into DS collecting, I thought the prices on the DS stuff were actually very, very good. We're talking for games like Barbie, $4 to $5. But we had Omega Ruby down here for $60, which isn't too bad. Mario Party DS, $30. Super Mario 3D Land, $20. Like, that feels good. Animal Crossing New Leaf, not a bad pickup at all right there, $30. Some Vita games that were in a reasonable price point. Minecraft on the 3DS, which I think is like one of the forgotten Minecrafts, but it was supposed to be still pretty good. I almost got this one, and I'm still thinking about it because for less than $20, you could get Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. The only reason I didn't is I just purchased a Kingdom Hearts collection on Steam that I think at least includes the story of this game. But it's right there, I could have had it, and because I found other games. Yeah, there it is. Dream Drop Distance 3D. I want to look some more into that, but I thought it was pretty cool. And like $10 on things like Academy Lessons for everyone, but you get an idea. A lot of the games which makes sense. These are DS games. They didn't actually have these cartridges out on the shelf. What they did instead was they had these generic game boxes that you see for discs out on the shelf with 3DS and DS games like printed on them as a listing. So not too bad. Priced overall, I was quite happy with. I think that is most of the pictures I have. Yeah, this was the showcase as well. You have your Wii motion board. Is that what that was called? I don't remember. Maybe I should get one of those. We're trying to live a healthier lifestyle this month. But there's my Mario Duck Hunt. That is in my room now. See, there's the regular Mario. It was twice the price as this. Or no, $5 more than this. And I was like, that may be normal, but I want this one. And then there's my Mortal Kombat that I got. They also had Mortal Kombat 2. They have 2 of those. So that's good to know. Just great stuff. I don't even own an NES, and I picked that up. So I'm in the market for an NES. I do have a Super Nintendo. I don't think I have the connection cords for it, so I might need to look into that. But anyway, that's all I really had to say about that. It's fantastic. I am very, very pleased with that. Let me know if that's something you guys want to see a full video on as well, because I'm kind of inclined to do that. Now I'm going to pull up the Nintendo Switch 2 first look trailer, and I'm going to use that to scrub through because I want to talk a little bit about what I suspect to see in tomorrow's Direct. The very first thing that I expect to see, if I can find it, yeah, it's this little thing. So we saw in the first look trailer this rotation of the, like, at least aggressive rotation of the analog stick. We also see them slot down into this mouse-looking configuration. We've talked about this before. I suspect one of the very first things we'll see in this Direct tomorrow is a showcase of that. So here we go. My full prediction. Should we make a list? Should I just pull up, like, should I just make a Google Doc list? Is that what I should do? Maybe I will. Let's do that. Let's go Docs, and we're just gonna make a brand new doc, and we'll call it Predictions, and we're gonna make the font way too big. Here we go. Predictions. That's too big. We're gonna go a little bit smaller than that. What am I thinking? That's ginormous. We'll make the view 50 or 200. All right, here's my predictions. Here we go. Ready for this? The very first thing that I just feel confident that we are going to see. Very first thing is mouse support. Okay? It'd be cool if you could even plug in like a just any external mouse. That would be kind of cool. I don't know that will happen, but we're going to see hardware stuff. I expect us to hear something about Nintendo account system. That's how I'm going to put it. Whether it's an update or whether they're fixing the old version. We're supposed to be able to bring our old titles and our old games over. I'm fully expecting us to talk about that and solidify it. Under that umbrella, we may also hear more about the virtual card system. That makes sense. I think we will hear a lot about that. I want us to see a release date. Let's type this out. Release date, which I am expecting to be. Oh, I'm gonna make a guess that it's gonna be $399.99. That's my USD. That's my price guess. Okay. That's my price guess. Let's call this release date and price. And so $399.99 USD. I think we're going to see a release in June 2025. That's when I think this console is going to launch. Or maybe launch date is a better word. Would help if I actually spell launch right. Launch date, June 2025. These are just Webby Pumpkin predictions. Are they right? Who knows? But these are my predictions. Games. I actually don't think we're going to see a lot in the way of games. I think we're going to see Mario Kart. And I think they're going to call it, this is just my guess, I think they're going to call it Mario Kart 10. Because Mario Kart 8 was what was on the Wii U, and then we got 8 Deluxe, which is the Nintendo Switch one. Mario Kart 9 is technically Grand Tour. It's the mobile app. So I think that Mario Kart 10 will be what this will be considered. Maybe they'll even say Mario Kart 10. That's what I That's what I'm calling it, Mario Kart 10. I am hoping, but okay, this is what I actually think is going to happen when it comes to games. I'm hoping we're going to see some kind of improved resolution for previous gen games, especially with the Direct having just come out talking about game releases for the Switch 1. I would love to see something in the line of what we saw with the PlayStation 4 and with the Xbox One, where you can get Xbox Series X enhanced or PS5 enhanced versions of the titles. And it would be great. This is what I don't think will happen. I would love to see that across the board. I think that might. I think we could see enhanced versions. At the very least, I think games like Tears of the Kingdom are just going to run better on the newer hardware. Even if there's not any actual improvements that are in the code, I just think it's much more likely for us to have very consistent frame rates. Fingers crossed. I actually plan to try to get my hands on a launch edition Switch and test that out. I want a full comparison of the two. That is on the agenda. That's what I want to do. But I also would like to see, well, I really do think we will see enhanced editions. I really do. Now, my prediction is enhanced Switch 1 games. My prediction for that is that they will be an upcharge. So it's possible that Nintendo would just release the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom. Actually, I think that's what's going to happen. As I'm saying this, I think we'll get Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. And now that could be a $10 upgrade if you already have the game, or it will be an entirely different version of the game, but they're going to sell it to us again. We will not get free, no free updates. That's what I'm suggesting. No free enhanced upgrades. And that's really about. Let me make sure I'm saying this right. That's really about all that I expect to see tomorrow. I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the chat. If you're here and you have thoughts in the live episode about what we want to see, what we're going to see, what we expect to see. If you have any thoughts around that, then throw them out there. I want to know, because otherwise, is there really anything else that we can expect? I'm thinking that we're probably going to have like 30 minutes. There might be some other launch games, and I'd like to see them. I just don't know what they could be. They're going to be minor. I guess I'll say that minor titles, minor title release games. Something like a 1-2 switch, like we saw with the last one, or like a Wii Sport, games that may be major in that people love them, but that are not a Mario, they're not a Zelda, they're not a Dragon Quest, or I'd like to see an Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing Switch 2, whatever that is. A new Animal Crossing. All right, I'm throwing it in there. Let's see if I can get right on any of these. New Animal Crossing. NecoSpy in the chat says more Monster Hunter. You mean like Monster Hunter Wilds, like the most recent Monster Hunter on the Switch? I find it highly unlikely. That game will come to the Switch. I could be wrong, but I genuinely don't expect this console to be that much more powerful. I mean, it's going to be probably about as powerful as a Steam Deck is what I expect. And I don't know if that game is a good experience on the Steam Deck. I could come to it, but I don't know if it'd be the way you'd want to play it. With that in mind, actually, I am hoping to see more info on the Switch 2 dock, because I would love to see some type of DLSS. They won't call it DLSS. I'm gonna call it DLSS like. I would like to hopefully see something in the dock that makes the upgrade dock feature that's on the Switch OLED for the Switch OLED dock makes sense. Maybe if you have a Switch OLED, that dock can be upgraded to have the functionality of a Switch 2 dock. Who knows? I would really like to see that. With something like a Nintendo version of DLSS, if you don't know what DLSS is, there is a patent for something like this that Nintendo put out. But if you don't know what DLSS is, it's basically it's basically upscaling of video. So it would allow the Switch to natively render a title at, let's say, 720p, which would be much easier for the system to do. It would also greatly improve battery life if you're rendering at 720p instead of 1080 or higher, like a gaming PC. But then the DLSS chip would take that 720 and it would up-res it to 1080, 4K, 2160, whatever, whatever it is, 2K, 4K, whatever the amount is. I think that's the only chance we see any kind of 4K on this system. I genuinely don't expect to see 4K, to be honest. A lot of people want it. I don't expect that. If it is 4K 30 at most, docked only. I do expect to see at least 1080p in handheld, but we'll see. Some people are theorizing that there would be a 120 hertz display on the handheld. I think that is possible, but if that is possible, if that happens, it's only because Nintendo got a good deal on that particular manufactured screen. Like, perhaps the screen is capable of 120 hertz. That does not mean that Nintendo is going to support that screen refresh rate, even though the screen technically could do it. Now, that I kind of want it to be the case, because it could be really interesting to see what happens with overclocking the Switch 2, because I don't think it's going to take too long before we start cracking into this thing and trying to overhaul it and overclock it and do all those amazing things. I don't think that would take too long to do. I don't know. And I also expect, I'm hoping we see some kind of like staggered release also. I don't want this to be another console that falls victim to scalpers. Miss Jenkins in the chat says, I would be shocked if it even came close to the level of the Steam Deck. I think that so when I say the Steam Deck, I think we could expect it to be about as powerful as the base LCD Steam Deck. So not the Steam Deck OLED, and not as quick, not as fast even as the middle tier and the upper tier of the LCD. I don't expect them to pay that kind of stuff, that kind of money on storage and speed. I just don't expect that, especially because more than likely games running on the Switch are just not going to need that. And I expect it to be running natively at 720, like 720 30 native. I think that it could be. Now I think that's where they're going to lock it. I think it may have the specs to be just as powerful as a Steam Deck, because I think it kind of has to be. When we're looking at the next gen and a price around $400, which is just what I'm theorizing it will be, but you start looking around $400, it kind of needs to be at least the Steam Deck, because the Steam Deck chugs on AAA games as it is itself. I'm not expecting the Switch to be just amazing. I'm not expecting it to really, honestly compete on a tech level with the PS5 or the Xbox Series X. I am expecting it to compete on the sales level, but I feel like it just has to kind of be about at that. It may not be perfectly there. It may fall just a little shy, but it needs to be aiming for about Steam Deck level, because I feel like the standard right now is like ROG Ally, in handhelds. Like, that's the cream of the crop. So, like, you can't even get Nintendo games on PC. Well, okay, I just felt like they wouldn't need it, by the way. Not that they couldn't do it. Like, you can't. I'm not saying. So when I say level, I don't think that they will give their IP to PC. No. I'm just saying that it will be a comparable CPU, a comparable GPU to what the Steam Deck is capable of. Promise I'm not derailing you, but you see that the game market wants to increase prices of new release games. Yes, and I think in that regard, especially if we see games like the new, what is it? I almost said God of War. It's not God of War. It's more anticipated than God of War. Grand Theft Auto. I suspect Grand Theft Auto is going to be $100. I think Grand Theft Auto is probably going to be worth $100, but I do think it's going to set a bad precedent for games that are like your Cyberpunks or your Starfields wanting to charge $100, and they're not going to be worth $100. I can only think of two games right now. One from like the year before last that I think might be worthy of $100. Something like Tears of the Kingdom may have been worth $100. Something like Grand Theft Auto probably is worth $100. Games like Split Fiction, probably worth $60. Even though it's only a $50 game, it's probably worth $60, honestly. Uh, but most even AAA games that are coming out right now, I just don't think that they're worth that price increase. But I do think that's what's going to happen because I do kind of understand a little bit economically what's happening. I also understand the like precedent involved, but I think that's going to be a hard adoption. But yeah, games like Avowed, Miss Jenkins says, heck no, I completely agree. Oh yeah, GTA might be the only one that's worth it. Yeah, see, I'm okay with games being priced at their value. You know, I'm not sold. This is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm not 100% sold on the idea that games have to be $60 when they're new. I think that's silly. Like games like, I mean, these indie games like Slime Rancher 2, for example, a game that's out. It was $60. It wasn't finished. And Manami Park, the developers, their stance was that we want Slime Ranchers. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm basically quoting them. We want Slime Rancher to be an experience that you come and enjoy, and then leave to play other games and come back to. And that's why they didn't finish the content, which I think is asinine because this is how that actually works. Play this game, do all that you can because there's not a whole lot to do here, and then leave it and never come back. That's what actually happens with a game like Slime Rancher 2. That game's not, in my honest opinion, that game's not worth $60. It's cute and it's fine, but I think the first one's actually better. Then you look at games like Tears of the Kingdom, and it's probably worth more than the $70. But games like Animal Crossing are probably priced about right. About $60 is right for that. Games like Mario 3D All-Stars, that collection when it came out, I've griped about this a lot. Not worth $60 for two reasons. It's the same original games. They're just upscaled a little bit, but they're not remade, and they're older games. I think that should have been a $40 game all day long. So I'm perfectly happy with games being priced at whatever they really are worth or based on the amount of time and effort that went into them. But the idea that, you know, everything is $100 or everything is $70, I'm not in love with that. Ms. Jenkins says Nintendo has always maintained value, though. Yeah, but how much of that value is manufactured value? Like, because the cartridges just don't go down in price. You know what I mean? Like they hold their value because Nintendo doesn't do sales or anything themselves. So since Nintendo never does a sale that's better than, like, one of the best ones I've ever seen is like 12%, but they never do sales. So they kind of artificially extend the value of their games. Because you can go buy Mario Kart 8 Deluxe right now, a game that was on the Wii U, really. Like, it's a Wii U game ported to the Switch too. That game right now is still going to cost you $60, and we're at the end of the system's life. I wouldn't be surprised if after we're into the Switch 2 generation a healthy bit, that Nintendo's still trying to sell games like Mario Kart and Animal Crossing for $60. So yes, it holds its value, but I feel like it's a little inflated because Nintendo just values itself. Now it's working. People are still paying for it. And I think maybe some people are a little more accepting of it because the buy-in to get on the Nintendo Switch, to get into the Nintendo ecosystem, was low. Because let's be honest, the Switch was just the cheapest console. And there was the Switch Lite, which was even cheaper. It was way easier to get your hands on a Switch and start gaming with some pretty good titles than it was to get an Xbox or a PlayStation. And by George, a lot easier than getting a PC. Even though all the other experiences are better experiences, just the accessibility of Nintendo and I guess the way that they are safe, like parents like them, they cater to kids, just keeps them on top because of their market share. I've always wondered if they made them available through Steam, if they would drop in value. That's a great question. Maybe. It depends on how they sell them for. I think that they would be pirated a little bit more frequently if they were available through Steam. But Nintendo games are already very pirated. So I don't know if that would actually make a difference, honestly. I think that Nintendo would make more money if they would maybe lose money on console sales. No, they would 100% lose money on console sales if they released games on Steam. But they would sell a slew of games. Like if you could get Tears of the Kingdom right now on Steam, that game would be just the way everybody would want to play it for two reasons. One, it's the freaking Legend of Zelda. That's the way people want to play it. Two, it'd be the definitive way to play it, and I think that is where they'll have the bigger problem, is that it's hard to want to release games on other platforms when your games would probably perform better on everyone else's platform. Like, you put Tears of the Kingdom on a PC, well, you could do it right now through something like Ryujinx. It's going to perform better. People were fixing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I mean, that was a janky game, but they were able to make that game more playable just by playing it in emulators because of the extra power that a PC had. Some people were saying it was just because your Switch is too weak. That's not fair, because the Pokemon Company and Game Freak only had to develop for the Switch. It wasn't like they were varying hardware. It was the Switch or bust, and they couldn't make it work on the Switch. It's an optimization development issue. But since it's so poorly optimized, it can really benefit from having a little more horsepower under the hood. I think that Nintendo would be really, really just, it would be like committing, it would unalive the company. It would be so bad, because if I could play every Nintendo title, every Nintendo Switch 2 title on PC, I wouldn't buy the Switch 2. I know that to be the truth for me, because that is exactly what's happened with Xbox in my heart. I have an Xbox Series X, and I have absolutely no intention on buying another Xbox, because I'll just play those games on PC. Or I'll play those games on, if I really want the console experience at this point, goodness, I'll just play them on PlayStation, because there's more value proposition in paying $500 for a PS5 and then playing all the PlayStation exclusives and the Xbox games on the PS5. More value proposition there. If Nintendo did something similar, it would kill them in the handheld market. And also, Nintendo likes gimmicks, so they can't really do that. They can't do the motion controller, the IR sensor, or things like that reliably on PC. So they'll stick to their gimmicks. But I'm going to finish reading chat real quick for you, Miss Jenkins. I feel like they're one of the companies that truly markets really well to children. They do, and to parents. I tell parents, get a Nintendo Switch. If you're worried about your kids' interaction with other gamers online, get the Nintendo Switch, because the Nintendo Switch's online service sucks in that it is a pain to use, but it is probably the safest online system that a kid can have today. There's peace of mind in that, There's peace of mind in the fact that the only way that a kid would be able to talk to a stranger online is on something like Fortnite, where they house the servers themselves, and even Fortnite has parental controls. There's a lot of peace of mind in that. So if I were a parent of a 9-year-old or something, Switch is probably what I'm going to get them, because it's safe, and I'd get them a Switch Lite, and it's just cheaper. They're not going to break it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'd do. Well, yeah, no, that's what I would do. I'd have my kids on a Switch. That's exactly what I would do. So that's a good point, actually. Yeah, and they don't have access to a lot of R-rated titles. Well, okay. That should be the case. But I will say, when it comes to the Nintendo Switch, there is a lot of questionable content on that eShop. Even if you set yourself up as a brand new account and you open up the eShop for the first time, Wood Hawker from Beat 'em Ups, he calls it Luigi content. It's not Luigi content. It's anime, but a little dirtier. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. It is full of that junk. So, yeah, you're not gonna have R-rated content, like, generally speaking, like your Grand Theft Autos or your God of Wars, like that kind of stuff, like rated M. But you're gonna get lots of that other kind of like thirst trap shovelware. Tons of that. And probably another dozen of them uploaded every single day. Like, it plagues mine. Let's just, hold on. I think I have, just for kicks and grins before the episode's over, I've got my handy dandy Switch right here, and it's all charged up. Let's just open the eShop really quick and see what the first thing that pops up is. This is going to be super unprompted. Let me turn the brightness up so you guys can hopefully see it. This is going to be super unprompted, okay? Super unprompted. We're just going to go featured, okay? On the featured, it's probably going to be mostly Nintendo stuff. So we got Xenoblade Chronicles, Donkey Kong, Hello Kitty Island Adventure, This is probably going to be on the up and up on the featured. Yeah, it looks fine. Let's go to recent releases. If we go recent releases, let it load because, it's the Switch, so it's got to take a minute to load. We've got 3, 6. Let's see how long it takes for me to get to some Luigi content. It took me 4 rows down. The 10th game, there's a bundle that is that's Luigi-ish type content here. And then we're going to keep going. This is technically TCG, like a trading card game simulator clone, but the thumbnail is provocative. But I'll let that one slide by, I guess, because it's just on the recent releases. Man, the eShop is so slow. No, I like talking about this stuff, Ms. Jenkins. It's fine. And we're just going to hang out and chat after this, after the podcast episode anyway. So we have Anime Girls Clever Cover, 66% off. We got that. That's on the shop right there to find. Right next to Care Bears. To put that into perspective, that is right next to Care Bears Unrockin' Magic. Yep. That's the good stuff right there. That's the good stuff. You guys get the idea. It's not the Nintendo sewers. Yeah. Sorry, but yeah. I think they need to fix that for the Switch too. Nintendo, if you only take one thing away from this podcast of mine that you're probably not listening to, fix that about your online shop. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're here for the live stream, like I said, or if you're not, the live stream happens every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern. We do this web show, and then after that, we do Multiplayer Monday, where we hang out, play some games together as a community, or just chat and hang out. Miss Jenkins and I will probably continue to do that because, well, spoiler, I actually know Miss Jenkins IRL, and I haven't talked to you in a while. I hope you're doing really, really well. I hope life's treating you so good, my friend. So that's just what we're about here, is the community and the being here for one another. That's what pumpkin positivity looks like. So I appreciate you guys. If you are here live, bear with me for this outro so that I can finish this recording, stop that, and then we'll jump right back in and we'll just keep hanging out. But if you're not here live, consider liking this podcast and rating it 5 stars. I appreciate that. And to get ready for the live stream on Wednesday when the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct actually happens. And that's basically all I have to say about that. Thank you so much. Hope you are too, friend. I appreciate that. Guys, we'll see you again next Monday, or just stop by for any live stream. Twitch.tv/WebbyPumpkin. We're live Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesday morning this week, and Thursdays. Plenty of time. I'll see you guys later. Bye.